Hey there, my name is Tara and I'm going to share a part of my journey that I haven't really delved into before. This video is about my experience going through anxiety and depression over the past couple of years and coming out on the other side and finding happiness. But before I get into the specifics, I want to talk about today's sponsor, which is Premium Jane CBD oil. Premium Jane is a company dedicated to selling high-quality CBD products, which is something I can really appreciate. They offer CBD capsules, CBD oil, topical creams, and CBD gummies, which is something new that I've never tried before. Premium Jane's goal is to provide affordable access to high-quality CBD products, and that's why they use organic hemp that is grown in controlled environments in Oregon. It's third-party, laboratory tested, and non-GMO, which is amazing. I was impressed by a couple of things when I first tried Premium Jane CBD oil. And the first was the neutral taste. I love that it went down smoothly and didn't have any bitter aftertaste, and I didn't feel like I had to brush my teeth after I had it. The second thing was how fast acting it was. Within 20 to 30 minutes, I could feel the effects, which is much faster than I'm used to experiencing with CBD oil. Thank you to Premium Jane for sponsoring this video on the topic of mental health, which is something that is really important to me. And if you want to get your own Premium Jane CBD oil, you can go in the link below in the description and use the code LIVING for 20% off your first order. All right, now let's get to my personal experience with anxiety and depression. A couple of years ago, I moved to Scandinavia, and to the outside world, I had everything going for me. I was happy, or I had every reason to be happy. I had just moved to a new country, I was following my love and got to spend my time with the person I cared about more than anyone else. I just moved into this gorgeous little tiny home in the south of Sweden, and I had access to these beautiful turquoise blue waters and beaches nearby. And that's what I never realized before I experienced both anxiety and depression, is that you can look like you are happy from the outside. If people were looking from the outside into your life, they oftentimes wouldn't even know that you're dealing with these issues. And that is exactly what happened to me. I went from being a happy, normal, well-adjusted person who, of course, had ups and downs in life, but I never really suffered from any kind of mental health issues until I moved here. It wasn't until I actually remember the first time that I experienced a panic attack. I felt like my chest was being crushed, like I couldn't breathe, and I wanted to just crawl out of my skin. I wanted to run away from myself because I didn't know what was happening to me. So I went for a really long walk. I walked for hours and it wasn't getting any better. I just felt like I wanted to just zip off my skin and leave it and run away. And after that first panic attack, they started to progressively get worse over time. My partner came home, and thank goodness he helped me through it, because I honestly don't know what I would have done without him. But it got to the point where I was almost having a panic attack every single day, and I just didn't know how to cope with it. For the most part, they lasted about an hour or two, but they completely took over my day, because once I would actually have a panic attack, I would have the erratic breathing where I couldn't breathe properly. I would feel like my skin was crawling and my chest was just being crushed, like the weight of the world was coming down on me, and I didn't feel like I was ever going to be happy again. I also felt a lot of feelings of just not being good enough, of feeling like I was somehow a failure for experiencing these things, and I was stuck. Like, it was literally a daily occurrence. It affected my work, it affected my life, my relationships. And after I would have my panic attack, I would have this just ripping headache, this pounding headache, you know, in the front of my head, right behind my eyes. And it was really, really intense. And after that, I would feel exhausted for hours, as if I had stayed up all night partying or drinking. Next came the depression, which for me was this aching sadness that felt like all of the happiness was being drained out of the center of me, like all of the life was being sucked out of me. And when I felt that way, I was completely incapacitated. I couldn't function like a normal person. I couldn't hold conversations or feel like there was any happiness or light left in the world. It was really hard for me to deal with, because normally I'm not that type of person. Before depression and anxiety, I was really happy-go-lucky, and I had an attitude that I could figure any problem out. And as I was experiencing all of this, I felt really alone, because I didn't really open up to anyone about this. Aside from my partner, no one knew that I was experiencing anxiety and depression. And in a way, I felt ashamed, because I thought that this made me less of a person. I thought that I was weak for not being able to get a handle on my emotions and how I felt. And so I didn't open up. I retreated away from everyone I knew, because I thought that they would have the same prejudice that I once did, where I actually thought that someone having a panic attack just needed to harden up and get over it. And it wasn't until I started to feel suicidal that I realized I needed to seek help. And I went the traditional route and found a therapist so that I could do talk therapy. And as I was walking into the building in Sweden where I lived, I started to have a panic attack because I was so nervous about talking to someone. I'm not the type of person to open up and speak to people, especially even, my friends and family. So to talk to a complete stranger about what I was experiencing was completely nerve-wracking for me. And as I was walking in, I had a panic attack. And they made me wait outside the lobby in this therapist's office, even though my partner told them I was having a panic attack. And once I got into the room with the therapist, I felt like a lab rat. I felt so horrible. I felt like I was being dissected and analyzed. And the entire time I was in there, he was telling me what I should and should not do while I'm having a panic attack and how I should and should not feel. And I walked out of there thinking there is no way that I will ever go see a therapist again to talk about these issues. And that was around the time that I started hearing about CBD oil. At that point in my life, I was literally willing to try anything because I was so desperate to find a solution, and talk therapy had completely terrified me, and it wasn't something I was willing to explore again. So I got CBD oil not really expecting much and not having any kind of high hopes that it would have any effect on me. And I can still remember that first day that I took CBD oil. I was at work and I was feeling really tense and anxious. Something that had happened over the year of experiencing anxiety and depression is that I started to have a lot of tension in my neck and shoulder, and like all the way up my neck to behind my eye. And it was really uncomfortable and painful, to the point where a lot of times it affected my eyesight and made it really painful to look out of my left eye and made it very blurry. So I felt this all the time, and I was just in a constant state of tension. And I took the CBD oil at work, not really expecting much to happen, and nothing happened. So I went on with work, kind of disappointed, but experiencing what I thought I was going to experience. And then about an hour after I had taken the CBD oil, it felt like cool water was running down from the top of my head inside my body, loosening all of this tension. I felt like my brain had been swollen and throbbing for a year, and all of a sudden it felt like it was completely back to normal. All of the tension in my neck and shoulder and behind my eye completely disappeared, and I felt like I was living in a prison inside of my body for a year, and this was the first time that I experienced relief. It was such an incredible feeling that I still remember it to this day, and it makes me smile, and it completely changed my life. I started taking CBD every single day after that, and though I never had that effect again of having it, the cool water running down inside my body, it started to completely remove the tension and anxiety. And what I was able to do is I was able to start feeling safe in those situations that had previously triggered me before, and day after day I started to heal, and it got to the point where now, over a year later, I might have a panic attack or anxiety maybe once every month and a half to 2 months. It wasn't a perfect journey, and there were a lot of ups and downs over the time it took me to heal from having depression and anxiety, but the CBD oil helped me so much. And this is why I was excited to have Premium Jane sponsor this video, because there has been nothing, aside from maybe going vegan or adopting, a plant-based or raw food diet, that has profoundly affected my life in the same way that this has. And look, I'm not saying that you should forego traditional talk therapy or any other therapy that your doctor offers in favor of something alternative like CBD oil. But what I am saying is that it is worth exploring all of the options available to you to see if something helps with your specific situation. Of course, just because talk therapy didn't work for me does not mean that it would not work for you, but I'm sure there are some others out there like me who just don't feel comfortable opening up to other people and being vulnerable like that, because it takes a lot of courage. And one thing that in my personal experience you do not have a lot of when you are in the throes of a panic attack is courage. What I want to leave you with, if you are experiencing any of the same things that I've outlined that I went through in this video, please seek help. It blows my mind looking back that at one point in time I was actually thinking of ending my own life because, sorry, this chokes me up a little bit, but because I couldn't see a way out. I couldn't see that there would be a light at the end of the tunnel. And if you are, sorry, if you are ever feeling like this, please find help, because what I want to tell you is that there is a way to get through this. There is a way to find a light at the end of the tunnel. You can gain your life back. Like, I am here, I might be tearing up a bit right now talking about this because it's not something I've really been open about or shared with you before, but what I want to say is that you can find happiness again. You can get back to your normal life. Right now, I mean, I might experience a panic attack the odd time, but it doesn't control me anymore. I am a free person and I don't have to be a slave to anxiety and depression, and that is the most freeing feeling in the entire world. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any stories that you want to share about your own personal experiences or anything that's helped you get through anxiety and depression, please share it in the comments below, because maybe you have the potential to help someone else who's experiencing the same. And if you are personally going through this right now, please know that you are not alone. There are so many people like myself who suffer in silence and don't open up about what they're experiencing. I hope this video was able to help you in some way, and I will see you in the next one.